it's the art of bombing.
TV debut, Dobie Maxwell, everybody, Dobie Maxwell.
Thank you. Thanks a lot. Thanks, Greg. Thank you. I cannot tell you how delighted I am to be here with you today. This is the best part of my entire day. The few minutes I get to stand here telling you what went wrong. Welcome to my nightmare. Welcome to my nightmare. I think you're going to like it. If no one, someone else, somehow, somewhere, somebody is doing worse than you, that makes your day. I can make your month. I can make your spring. You know, I have the worst luck of anybody walking the face of the earth. Look at me as your one-man self-esteem stimulus package. Is what it is. It's the thing. Luck is everything. Every day in my life is Friday the 13th mixed together with the Ides of March, and there's always a full moon, and there is no escape. Nobody has luck like me. Let me give you an example. I'm the only person I know that has run out of gas in a car wash. Twice. In the same week. That's embarrassing. It's humiliating. Standing next to my car, drenched to the bone, yelling at the top of my lungs, "Come around, come around." Then, of course, I lock my keys in the car, you know, and it's the closing time, and it's a 3-day holiday weekend. My entire life can be summed up in 3 simple words: worst case scenario. Then, for a little fun, throw in a glitch or a wrinkle or a hiccup, and that's the formula for my life, man. I've been known to get the finger from leprechauns on occasion. Black cats refuse to cross my path. If you're having a bad day, I'll cheer you up, man. I have so many unsolved problems going on in my life at any one time. I got a restraining order from Dear Abby and Dr. Phil.
Yes.
I love it. I love it. Well, that's a good lead-in, into the bombing part of it. I would love, like I said, you've been doing comedy for a long time, so I'm sure you've got plenty of stories to talk about. So I would love to hear some of your stories of times where you felt like you bombed really bad.
Well, let's start with the biggest one that I can remember. It was a place called the Star Dome in Birmingham, Alabama. I don't know if heard of the Star Dome. If you know what it is, it's a beautiful comedy club. One of the biggest I've ever seen. It probably seats several hundred, maybe 500 people, and it was jam-packed. And it's gone through several bookers through the years. And when I got asked to do it, they had regular headliners. And when you're starting out in comedy in America, you don't realize how regional it is. And especially in North and South. A lot of North comics can't work in the South. A lot of South comics can't work in the North. And that's just the way it is. So they said, well, we could put you in the Star Dome on Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday. And that was pretty decent money. And I was working in Madison, Wisconsin. I'm originally from Milwaukee, Wisconsin. So Madison, I have a lot of friends there. It's a great comedy town. If you've never worked there before, very smart audiences. I love working in Madison. I said, well, I'm in Madison, Wisconsin on Saturday night, and I have to be in Birmingham on Sunday. And the booker said, do you want the gig or not? With the typical warmth and compassion that all bookers show. So to make a long story longer, it was the middle of summer. I said, yeah, you know what? I can use the money. I will do the gig. Now, here's where the mistake started happening. First off, I had a lot of friends there. I was going to get a nap in on maybe Friday during the day or Saturday during the day. Well, friends, hey, you got to go to lunch with us. And other friends, well, you got to go to dinner with us. And then friends came to the show, well, you got to hang out with us. So I didn't get any sleep at all. And it's 100 degrees out, and it's after the show. I got to be in Birmingham on Sunday night. It's Saturday night. It's 100 degrees. And I got to Indianapolis, and I slept for about an hour and a half. This all has a point, by the way. So I slept in Indianapolis in a rest area. So I'm driving, and it's hot, and I get to right outside of Nashville, Tennessee, and in my typical comedian's car, the air conditioning blows out. It's 100 degrees out. I'm in Nashville. It's in August. Oh, my God, it's horrible. Your energy drains out. And what happened, to make a long story longer, a truck full of logs tips over and clogs the entire freeway system of Nashville, Tennessee. So I got to Birmingham within about 20 minutes of the show. I'd never been there before. This is before cell phones. I couldn't call in. I'm nervous. You know how it is when you don't know if you're going to make the gig or not. Had to take the dry shower, basically wash under the arms, dry shave, comb the hair, go right to the club. It's packed. There's 500 people there on a Sunday night in the middle of summer in Birmingham, Alabama. Wow, this is going to be fantastic. There's a green room there with snacks and cold drinks. This is going to be the best gig I ever had in my life. And I didn't know the other comedians. So the opening act, they're all really nice comedians. The opening act goes up and he hit on a premise that I did. And he wasn't stealing material. I'm not accusing him of that, but it's one of those things where, hey, he's got some similar ideas, angles. He's down to a premise. Well, the feature act went up, and he did 2 of my premises. So now I'm tired. I've been out driving all night. It's hot. I'm sunburned. Now that I don't have any premises, I went out there, and it's one of those where I have if you've ever seen my opening, I know I talk 100 miles an hour, which is bad for doing gigs in the South. And I stumbled at my opening is rhythm, and I stumbled on it. So now my opening usually gets applause. It doesn't get applause. The other comics did my premises. So I could just feel myself slide down into the abyss of the bowels of hell. And those people turned on me, and I was a Yankee, and I was Northerner, and they started booing and throwing stuff and get off the stage. And of course, I didn't meet the club manager because I got there real close to it. So he wanted to talk to me afterwards. So I had to make my way through the entire crowd as they're walking out, looking at me like, what do we waste our money on? And it was absolutely the worst, a fate worse than death. You want to crawl in a hole and die. And the next night I came back, and there was a guy there in the green room. Who are you? Well, I'm going to do a guest set, but I'm going to go on after you. Oh, you bumped me back down the feature. Oh, no, it's not like that. It's exactly what they did. And of course, it went fine the next night on Monday. And on Tuesday, I did really well. And the manager said, well, where was that on Sunday night? Well, it wasn't there. And it's just all the stars came together, and I had the worst set of my life. And they're still talking about it to this day. Somebody asked me, and I talked to the booker at the time, and I said, hey, any chance of getting back in the Star Dome, just as a joke? And he said, his quote was, what millennium are we talking here? They hate you.
Oh no!
Yeah, it was pretty bad. And it was just absolutely horrible. And just whatever you're trying, it's just not working. And I don't have anything against Southern people, but they just are not on a wavelength of what I was doing. And I talked fast, and it did not work at all. But I was telling them halfway through the set, I have video in my car of me destroying less than 24 hours ago 2 times, 2 sets in Madison, Wisconsin. I will give you the video so you can take it home. I really do know what I'm doing, and I'm trying to be fun, and they're just not buying it.
They're not on board with it.
No.
It's amazing how different parts of the country, how some things work and some things don't. Like with and not just like regional humor, just being in a different region, like different. There's just like these. Almost like assumptions about people or, prejudgments. And so an audience judges you because you're from the North and then, or whatever. It's very interesting how that works and how that can affect a set.
Well, comedy is rhythm. It's music. It really is. Dick Van Dyke talked about that when they asked him to do a comedy show. He goes, well, I don't know anything about comedy, but I'm a music man, a dance man. I know rhythm, and comedy is rhythm. And it truly is. And people in a certain region are used to talking a certain way, in a certain pace, and even certain words. I have a bit of that too in my act about, something where I'm from, it's soda. Some places it's pop. You go in the South, it's Coke. You want Coke? Yeah. What kind? Sprite.
Yeah. It is, and so this was even before I did comedy. I went on a trip to Texas with my now ex-wife of a while ago because she had some family in Texas, and we were going down there to visit them. And we had stopped. I believe we were actually in Texas at this time. We stopped to get lunch, and that blew my mind because I went. I think I call soda, pop, whatever, and I went to order. I don't know if I called it a soda or called it a pop. And the waiter was like, you mean a Coke? I was like, no, I don't want a Coke. I want a Dr. Pepper. He's like, oh, you want a Dr. Pepper Coke? And I'm like, what? I was so confused. And he's like, oh, you're not from around here, are you? And I was like, what gave it away? And then he, proceeded to explain that they call them Cokes. They're just different flavors. Like it's, Coke is a Coke. And then there's, like you said, a Sprite. Like,
I really think that's why it takes a comic such a long time to develop. You know, a musician can go in their basement or practice, you know, with their other bandmates and go out there and have a show. Comedians, you have to go up there and bomb live in front of strangers. One of the first road gigs I ever had, I was just an opening act. And new comedians today, an opening act can't make a living. Well, you could back then. I was in 1986 or 7, making, you know, $350, $400, $500 a week to work a comedy club. And there was a chain called the Punchlines, and they were in the South, and they're open 6 nights a week. So they give you a condo, and you're basically working 6 nights a week at your craft. And there's 2 shows on Friday and 3 shows on Saturday, and that's how you get good. Now I can't imagine that today for young comedians, and that's just how it was back then. And I had a big bit about, you grew up in the North, about the snow stomp. You know, you come in from outside when you're a kid, and you got to stomp all the snow off of your shoes or your boots in school or at home. And it's a lame bit. But when you start out in comedy, it's like baby teeth. Those are the bits that I had. And I had about maybe 15 or 20 minutes total. Well, I got down in the South on my first road swing, and that was about a 6 or 7 minute chunk. And it didn't snow down there. So I go up there and start doing my snow stomp bit, and you could hear a mouse pee on cotton from 500 yards. It's like I had to come up with. So you learn those things. It takes years to get all that in your head.
But I'm here to cheer you up. That's the way it goes, man. You're trying to go good. I have the worst luck with cars. Oh man, one time I tell you, I was in a police station paying a parking ticket while I was getting a speeding ticket. Does that make sense to you? Another thing happened to me. I was in a fast food drive-through line at the busiest possible time. My engine blows. What do? Worst case scenario, push it 10 feet, wait. Another 10 feet, wait.